Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Donnellan, Director of the Media Relations Division for Prince George's County Police. With me, you see the Executive Command Staff here at Prince George's County Police. Chief of Police Hank Stawinski is here to answer any questions that you may have in regards to a letter that we shared with our community and the men and women of the Prince George's County Police Department. Chief?
Thank you, Jennifer, and good afternoon. I'm coming before our community because, as is my practice, when I have factual information, I will present that information to this community. Several months ago, you may recall that there was a press conference where I addressed some concerns over a license plate and some photographs. In that conversation, further questions arose, and at that point, I did not have factual information to offer this community. I was notified on Saturday, past Saturday, that the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division has, in fact, chosen to initiate a pattern and practice investigation into the Prince George's County Police Department for alleged discrimination against Hispanic and African American officers under Title VII. We are prepared to fully cooperate without reservation and provide any and all information that the Department of Justice requests. We've been prepared to do that since the very beginning of this process. I have documented that repeatedly, and that forms the substance of the information that I provided both internally to the department and externally to our community today. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have at this point.
Chief, did the Department of Justice give you any details about what they're looking into specifically and where things will go from here?
No, sir.
Zero?
No.
Do you have any sense, or would it all just be conjecture?
It would all be conjecture on my part.
And including the pictures you showed at the press conference on February, again, that would be conjecture?
I don't know that those pictures are or are not part of anything that Justice is looking at, but I think those, if you go back to that press conference, and we can give that to you if you don't happen to have it, I think that press conference affirmatively answers most of those questions. One of those investigations is still open as of today, in case that's on your mind.
What is your reaction that this is moving forward? Disappointed, surprised? What is your response that this is actually going forward?
As this evolved, I took the opportunity to approach the Fraternal Order of Police. We did two things specifically. First, we began publishing internal discipline results on this department to dispel perceptions that things weren't being handled. Secondly, we convened a panel to look at promotions, discipline, and practices. That panel has met 8 times. Both those actions are taken independent of this complaint, and it will continue. So I see this as an opportunity to bring another set of eyes, understanding that the panel brought people from outside of this department into the department to look at these issues. I am looking forward to having the Department of Justice come in, and I and the Assistant Chief played a key role in the Department of Justice consent decree and memorandum of agreement. Our reputation for cooperating, for being change agents, and being receptive to criticism is well documented going back a dozen years. I see this as another opportunity to address those issues, and I will say this to the community. This department has made tremendous progress over the last decade in crime fighting. Just as we've looked at those structures, we now have the opportunity to look at our structures internally and to ensure that this department represents the very finest and most progressive thinking in policing. So again, to answer your question directly, I welcome this opportunity. Ma'am?
Chief, is it just one complaint, and also has the department had to deal with things like something like this in the past?
I don't know anything about the complaint, coming back to the prior question. In terms of dealing with these issues in the past, we've had a number of issues presented to us in leadership, my administration, prior administrations. And again, because I don't know the full substance of this, I can't address whether or not we've dealt with it before.
Hey, Chief, could you paint a picture for us in general about the diversity in your department as it exists today? And you just mentioned these panels that are working now, looking at disciplinary procedures. Could you, in addition to painting a picture, describe to us what kind of disciplinary patterns have been identified at this point?
Well, I'll respond thusly. You need only look at the Executive Command Staff standing next to me and the leadership of this department. It reflects the diversity of this department. I can't give you the exact numbers, but we are approximately 43% African American, approximately 45% Caucasian, the balance being Latino and Asian. The department is approximately 15% female. With respect to these allegations, We are fully prepared to look at discipline, outcomes of discipline. Actually, that process has already been initiated as part of the panel. And we welcome outside voices like the Citizens Complaint Oversight Panel, who I've corresponded with on some of these matters, and the individuals that we asked to be part of the panel on promotions, discipline, and practices, which again, myself and the president of the FOP initiated these independent of the complaint, which now we know is moving into an investigation, but because we took seriously concerns that were addressed to us, we weren't going to wait to be told, and so we acted and will continue to act.
You just mentioned the second time the disciplinary panel that's looking at how discipline is issued and managed, and I'm not aware of it, haven't seen a report. Have there been any findings there that tell us anything?
So the panel first convened in April of 2017. The panel has met 8 times since the first meeting. And that work will go on until we believe that those opportunities to learn information, to obtain facts, and to understand perceptions are exhausted. And at the conclusion of that, the entirety of that panel will then prepare a report for me, offering their findings, and then offering, better than that, their suggestions as outside voices on how we can begin to address the issues should they identify some.
Independent Justice Department, work of the panel not complete yet.
Correct.
Underway and active. Is there a time frame for that to be produced?
The panel will continue to work so long as the co-chairs, Mr. Carlos Acosta, our Inspector General, and Mr. Jerry Moore, retired member of our department. That work will continue with the panel until those co-chairs decide that it's no longer productive.
So, Chief, to be clear, the letter of complaint, you don't have any idea what the substance of this complaint is? You don't know what people have complained to the Department of Justice? Did the individual who, or was it the union that filed with the DOJ? Do you know that?
No.
And was the complaint, was it ever brought to the department level, or was the grievance, did it go straight to DOJ?
So I'll respond thusly. I've had conversations with individuals about specific matters. I've never been provided with a copy of this complaint. I've never seen it. We sent 2 independent letters to Justice once we learned of this, offering cooperation and asking for information. So with respect to what's in that letter, I stand here before you today and the community, and I can't say what's in that letter specifically, and no member of the department can. In the response of the county to DOJ, we've asked them to provide specific information about the allegations so that we can prepare for these conversations. But so far, we have not seen this correspondence, and it was not provided to us. And we have asked.
So, Chief, have you gotten any response from DOJ to your inquiries about this at all? And other than this letter, have they responded to you at all?
No. And I don't fault the Department of Justice for that because of the manner in which they operate. That's okay. But my point was that as soon as I learned about this, I had the Inspector General hand carry a letter to them asking for information and offering to cooperate. We sent a second letter asking for information, offering to cooperate. We remain committed to having conversations, to cooperating, to understanding, and to resolving issues. We were in that position at the beginning of this, and I remain in that position as I stand here before you today.
Can I ask one more question before Jennifer shuts it down? It's simple for people watching. Do you run a fair department?
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, let me follow on that. So we're left guessing what this complaint, you know, it involves Hispanic and African American officers. So if it's about discrimination or something like that, we don't know. Do you have regular complaints about discrimination inside the department that you're handling from minority officers, or you have? How are you acting on them?
I've had a series of meetings with representatives of different officers, and in those meetings I've asked for who is the officer, what is the specific concern. I've then gone with the executive command staff, looked at those cases, looked at specific information. I've brought back and sat down with the same individuals. I provided specific information, specific answers, and had full conversations to the point where we concluded that concern isn't what it appeared to be. And I believe that we were resolving these issues. Those communications are always available to anyone. And let me say this, I'm not hard to find. I'll talk to anybody at any point about anything. I said that in the press conference we had about the prior concern, and I say it again today.
So is that a concern of yours that this went straight to the federal government as opposed to a grievance that was brought up with the department leader?
As I said in the press conference about the prior matter, and I apologize that I keep alluding back to it again, we can make it available to you. I hold no animus to anyone who advances a legitimate concern. My father was the president of the union of Prince George's County Police Department because of the things that he saw done wrong on this department back in the 1960s. I'm a product of that thinking. I won't stand for that. I won't tolerate an unfair work environment. I will not tolerate an injustice. I expect a lot from the men and women who do this job. I will not tolerate their believing that the environment inside the department isn't conducive to their best interest because of what I expect them to do on the streets, which, as you know, is a very difficult job.
Any timeline from DOJ?
No, sir. But we're prepared and looking forward. Again, we will fully cooperate and we will, without reservation, provide any information regarding any matter to DOJ simply upon their request. There will not be subpoenas. There will be no demands. It's merely an instance of them asking for any information that they'd like to have, and the original documents will be provided to them immediately, period. So with that, I'll say thank you to everybody.